Good morning. Welcome to another Wednesday edition of the Hi5 series from the DH podcast. My name is Nick, and I'm joined by the greatest band of all time. Before we get started, I want to thank all of our listeners on Spotify, on iTunes, on Anchor. So Anchor is actually still holding its own in terms of platforms. So giving Anchor a shout out for continuing to put us up in regards to discovery of new sports podcasts. So I greatly appreciate that. Also, shout out to the people of Ireland. You're holding down over 5% of our listenership. I didn't expect anybody from across any pond to hear us, and we get a few remnants here or there, but no prolonged listeners. So I'm grateful to you all for that. Even if it's just a few of you, would love to come out and see you. That'd be wow. Just made that up. Love to do that. Okay. We're going to start off not with anything because this still doesn't get a point yet. Every time. It hasn't happened at all this morning. And now look at this nonsense. Okay. They haven't figured out the Big Ten yet, so they don't get a point yet. But what we want to do is I just kind of want to keep updating people is that the lawsuit opened up some numbers so that we figured out that actually Ohio State voted in favor. We always thought it was 11-2. It was actually 10-3 in favor of actually Ohio State voted to continue to play in the fall season. Now, we've seen a lot of scrambling about what the hell is going to happen. Well, they still don't know yet, but the presidents took another vote, and they've now pushed it up to Kevin Warren, apparently, who is the commissioner of the Big Ten, in order to play sports this fall, and they'd be looking towards more of a, mid-October rather than mid-September. So will that put them in contention for the playoffs? They hope. Of course, strength of schedule and record itself will dictate that, but hopefully they're gonna go ahead and say that they can do that anyway. Regardless, the more football we can see, be fun for me. All right. Number one, hello NBA playoffs update. Denver, Utah, Game 7 down to the wire. I heard a lot of Donovan Mitchell takes on the interwebs yesterday because what had happened was there was about 15 seconds left or so. Donovan Mitchell drives, quick Euro steps in, tosses up the layup, misses it. Or no, sorry. Doesn't even get to miss the layup. While he was going up for the layup, he lost the ball. Sorry. Ball was taken by the Nuggets, and we're on the other side of the floor. But where's Donovan Mitchell? He's laying on the floor. Somehow, the Nuggets missed theirs as well. So, the Jazz are still down by 2 at this point. There's about 4 seconds left, maybe 3. They're running down, and Donovan Mitchell's down there because he just didn't leave that side of the court to play defense because he'd rather sulk because he thought the game was over. It's a crime of passion, I'd argue, but he did not get the ball past him. I don't know if that's because his teammate didn't see him or because he thought a cross-court pass would have been stupid with the little amount of time that they had, or he was pissed at him. Maybe a combination of the two. We don't know. Regardless, bricked that three-pointer. Nuggets won. Nuggets are now going to play the Clippers. Clippers in 6. I think that every team that's left is good enough to take a couple of games off the Clippers, but I don't think anybody yet can close like the Clippers. We won't see that until the Western Conference Finals when we have Lakers Clippers. But we gotta have one more series to get there as well. All right, so that was number one. Number two, MLB was nuts last night. You had 5 teams that were hitting double-digit runs last night. Giants, most notably, dropped 23 on the Rockies. The Cardinals dropped 16 on the Pirates. So, just an absolute bloodletting. And the games weren't close either. Neither of those teams scored above 5, so it wasn't like a barn burner. Now, that'd be sweet. I mean, that would have been awesome if you could see 16-15 baseball. That would be terrible for an ERA, but fun for me. One thing to remember, though, is that Alex Dickerson last night for the Giants set so many records that I can't even list them all. because you got all these people. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. I got to move this way. So a little bit. I'm going to adjust myself. I just can't handle that. And there's nothing I can do about it. It's simply because my building's so old that the electric is shot and you can still see him strobing in the background. Whatever. Screw it. You guys don't care. That's fine. Alex Dickerson set so many records, especially for getting 5 multi-base hits, over 14, I believe it was, RBIs over his night. So the amount of records that he was dropping was insanity. And if you want to figure out a great list of them, at Ace of Spader on Twitter. Great stats guy. He'll usually be the kind of person that somebody says, hey, man, can you pull this stat? I have no idea how to find it. He goes, no, I'm not really feeling it. And then 10 minutes later, he goes, God damn it, I couldn't get it out of my head. Just take the stat. Just take it. So then he goes and finds it. So that's why I love Ace of Spader. It's a man of the people. All right, number 3, Alvin Kamara, AK. He's supposed to return to practice today. Rumors were flying yesterday that apparently the Saints were open to trading him. I see no way how that fits. I really don't. I don't think that their backup, and I'm going to look him up because I remember his name now, he cannot do the workload that Alvin Kamara can. And also, you need to remember how old Drew Brees is. Okay, well, there we go. Google is never helpful for that because they just give you the most popular people. So it still said Mark Ingram. Come on, guys. You're better than that. Oh, nope. They want to take me to NCAA football on the... God, I hate this. I hate ESPN. This is why... There's a reason why Bleacher Report and Barstool are doing so well. It's because ESPN can't get any of their shit right. But also, when we want to talk about this, you have Michael Thomas, Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara. That's a big 3 in itself. So getting rid of one of those would be catastrophic, not only to the offense, but to team chemistry in the locker room as well. Okay. Latavius Murray, Dwayne Washington. Neither of them are going to have the output that Alvin Kamara have. Maybe both of them combined can equal Alvin Kamara, but there's a reason why you typically have 2 running backs on the field at all times, so that you can have one with the complete production that Alvin Kamara is having, and then one with normal running back production. So I don't think Latavius Murray can pull that off. Number 4, don't expect a trade. Don't expect a trade. They're going to work something out. For one of the most prolific running backs in the league, he had a down year last year. I don't know whether to expect to come back or not. I really don't. But you need to make sure that you can keep as many. I mean, it sounds dumb, but NFL GMs don't care about this because they seem to care more about salary cap. You got to keep the best players alive. I'm looking at you, Bill O'Brien. So if you can keep Alvin Kamara on your team for another season, I mean, it's 14 days until we start this thing? So time to get it right. Actually, less than 14. For week 1 is 10, 11 days away. I think 11. Yeah. Sunday after this one. So that next Friday is going to be awesome. All right. Number 4, we're sticking on the running backs. Joe Mixon gets a 5-year, $48 million extension. Why is this important? Well, you don't pay running backs. And there are very few exceptions to the don't pay running backs rule. Typically, the way the NFL offenses are designed, within the rookie contract itself, they absolutely bury a running back into the ground. And we see that all the time. So, perfect example, James Conner. There he goes. Perfect example, James Conner, to where he is putting up prolific numbers, and the Steelers were perfectly happy letting that nut job Le'Veon Bell walk so that they could keep an equal producing running back for like a tenth of the money. Typically, when these guys ask for money, that's my work phone. Disregard the Ducks. So when an NFL franchise is actually paying a running back, that typically means that they've paid everybody else. But here's the thing, they haven't. So the Bengals are making them paying for Mixon number one on their list. And maybe that's because of years and when contracts expire. That's fine. But that should not be happening. That shouldn't be happening. Especially for a team that doesn't have all the pieces put together. You don't know if your quarterback's going to work out, and maybe you want to continue to give that quarterback help. That's fine, but few running backs are worth 48 over 5 because most running backs are going to have multiple injury concerns within those 5. I don't know. I'm a big don't pay the running backs guy. Rookies are everywhere. You can have as many rookie contracts for that as you want. I don't care. But when it comes, there have been, I'm trying to think of a few. I thought Christian McCaffrey was a good because you can justify it with open field catching. I thought Mark Ingram's first contract was really good as well. Reggie Bush's first contract was iffy. Now I'm just trying to think of the most popular guys here. Yeah. You guys don't care about that. All right. Number 5, tonight we've got Rockets Thunder Game 7. Boy, oh boy, Daryl Morey's going to be in a pickle tomorrow if the Thunder win. 1, this is Chris Paul revenge tour. So most likely after this season, Chris Paul will fall into a pile of dust. I ruin my own damn jokes. I do. Just poor delivery on my part. So he'll follow. He will turn into dust because he is so old. God damn. Can't even get a joke out. It's unreal. All right. Also, besides the Thunder side of things, if the Rockets don't win, do you blow this thing up? Because when this happened, they had been preaching, Western Conference Finals. And I think if they were to get there and lose in the Western Conference Finals, that would be okay. Because look at the other teams that they're coming up against. They're still not as good as the Lakers. They're not as good as the Clippers. So having somebody that they could say, all right, well, hey, we're the third best team in the West, but now we still need to add a person, especially bigger in the paint, to help out Russ, to help out Harden. And maybe they can do that. I don't know. Giannis still is a free agent until the season after this one. So I wouldn't be worried about that for them. But if they lose, and that means that they lose in the first round, blow this experiment right up. Blow it up. Because it's not going to work. If you guys can't get along to win against the Thunder, who you're better than on paper and on the court, but somehow still keep losing to, then you can't do it. Just got to toss that thing in the fire. And it's unfortunate because I thought that Russ and Harden back together would have really worked. I don't know if they're going to get Durant back from Brooklyn. That's obviously not going to happen. But it would have been a fun experiment nonetheless. So, and also when everybody is healthy again, they may even be the 4th best team in the Western Conference as well. All right, I'm going to wrap this one up. That was the Hi5. I've got a little disclaimer at the bottom. Michael Jordan joined DraftKings this week as a special advisor to the board. I don't know how anybody hasn't thought of this. I didn't think of this. I don't know how, so I'm not taking any ounce of credit. I don't know how anybody has not thought of this yet. It's a frankly genius idea. One of the most prolific athletes, not even just basketball players, athletes that we've ever seen walk the earth. And somebody that we know enjoys gambling, admits it's a hobby, it's a fun activity, it's fine. And now, what happens? Well, what happens is we're going to get so much better gambling content out of DraftKings. I have no idea how else he'll be involved besides maybe a couple board meetings here or there, some stock options if they're a publicly traded company, equity in the company itself. So no idea how that works. Maybe he's a piece of the pie on the ownership, whatever he wants. I'm sure that they tossed him a bag and a half. Well, Or maybe they were like, hey man, we know that you've been pumping out content on our platform, so hey, your losses are all waived. Maybe he did it for that. I don't know. Either way, keep up news for that because he will be most likely, out there on social talking about it. So, all right, this has been another edition of the Hi5 series of the DH podcast. It is September 2nd, 2020. We'll see you guys on Friday.